Fans around the world are remembering iconic actor Val Kilmer, who has died here in Los Angeles. Kilmer, who waged a battle against throat cancer. For years passed away from pneumonia. It was the gritty gun, slinging Western that captured hearts and made legends out of its cast. Tombstone wasn't just a movie. It was a cinematic showdown, packed with unforgettable lines. I want your blood, I want your souls, and I want them both right now, and larger-than-life performances. But decades later, time has done its own reckoning. Some stars faded quietly, while others met shocking, heartbreaking ends that fans never saw coming. From career twists to tragic losses. The real-life stories behind the faces of this iconic film will leave you stunned. You won't believe who's gone and who's still standing tall today. The Tombstone. Tombstone is a gripping American Western movie that hit theaters on December 25th, 1993, directed by George P. Cosmatos, and originally written and briefly directed by Kevin Jarre. The film quickly captured the attention of audiences with its blend of real history and dramatic storytelling. It stars Kurt Russell as the legendary lawman Wyatt Earp and Val Kilmer in an unforgettable role as the charismatic and ailing gunslinger D.O.C. Holliday. The movie also features strong performances from Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton Powers, Booth Michael Bean, and Dana Delaney, with narration by the iconic Robert Mitchum, set in the wild and lawless towns of southeast Arizona during the 1880s. Tombstone brings to life the gritty and dangerous world of the Old West. The film centers around famous historical events like the legendary gunfight at the OK Corral and the fierce vendetta ride that followed it, paints a vivid picture of the tense showdown between outlaws and lawmen, featuring real-life figures such as Johnny Ringo, William Brocious, and the courageous Earp brothers. Although the film takes some creative liberties, its heart beats with the spirit of the era. It portrays with sweeping cinematography, intense standoffs, and emotional depth. Tombstone delivers both thrilling action and heartfelt moments upon its release. The film was a box office hit, earning over $73 million. Worldwide, it remains one of the top-grossing westerns since 1979. Audiences and critics alike praised its direction, gripping storyline, and strong cast performances. Especially Val Kilmer's electrifying portrayal of Doc Holliday, which many consider one of the greatest in Western cinema history. Over the years, Tombstone has risen beyond typical movie status to become a true cult classic. Its quotes, characters, and scenes have stood the test of time, keeping the legend of Wyatt Earp and his companions alive in the hearts of fans around the world. Whether you love action drama or historical tales, Tombstone remains a must-watch piece of cinematic gold. Let's begin with the man who lit up every scene. He stepped into the unforgettable Doc Holliday. Who was he? What was he known for? Let's find out. Doc Holliday. Doc Holliday wasn't just a character. He was a force. A refined Southern gentleman who traded his dental tools for a gun. Doc was as sharp with his words as he was with his aim. Smart, stylish, and suffering his mind. Razor sharp. His body slowly giving in to tuberculosis. In Tombstone, Val Kilmer didn't just play Doc Holliday. He became him at just 34 years old. Kilmer delivered a performance so powerful, so layered, it still leaves audiences spellbound. He mixed dry wit, deep loyalty, and reckless courage into a man whose body was fading, but whose spirit blazed with fire. Whether he was outdrawing enemies or outsmarting them, his every line felt like gold. 500 must be a peach of a hand. Now fast forward to the present, born on December 31st, 1959. Val Kilmer was 65 when he died on April 1st, 2025. That the film star Val Kilmer, who played Batman, and Jim Morrison, as well as starring in Top Gun, has died at the age of 65. His daughter told U.S. media that he'd been suffering from pneumonia. He's walked his own tough road throat cancer, took much of his voice, but not his presence. Much like the legendary Doc he portrayed, Kilmer remains unyielding. He speaks less later before his death, but says so much with his eyes, his art, his quiet strength. Val Kilmer's story echoes Darcy, Holiday's a tale of brilliance, pain, resilience, and refusing to fade away. Quietly, illness may have altered their paths, but it never dimmed their light, both men. One fictional, one real. Remind us you can be weakened and still be unforgettable. The next character is no other than a lonely and fragile housewife. Let's dig into the details of Maddie IRP, Maddie Earp. Maddie Earp wasn't a gunslinger, and she never charged into a shootout. But her story is just as powerful and just as heartbreaking as any legend of the Wild West, while her partner Wyatt Earp became a famous name in history. Maddie lived in the shadows as his common-law wife. She was often overlooked, her quiet struggles lost behind the noise of fame and glory. She battled loneliness, heartbreak, and a growing dependence on painkillers. Her life tells the story of those who are left behind, those who give love deeply but never receive enough in return. In the film, Tombstone actress Dana Wheeler Nicholson brought Maddie to life with a tender sadness that stayed with viewers just the great. At the time, Dana captured the pain of loving someone who doesn't love you. Back enough a feeling many can relate to now. 65. Donna continues to shine in film and television. Her creative spirit runs in the family. Her grandfather founded DC Comics. Her portrayal of Maddie reminds us that the Wild West wasn't just about gunfights and sheriffs. It was also about the women whose stories were never told, the silent sufferers, the forgotten lovers, the unseen heartbreaks. How many Maddies have slipped through the cracks of history? How many more are quietly enduring pain? In today's world, unheard and unseen. These are the stories we must remember. The stories that deserve a voice. The next character is a troublemaker who ceases to stir tension at the slightest opportunity. Let's dig into the details of Ike Clanton. Ike Clanton, every great story needs a troublemaker. Someone who talks big but crumbles when things get real. That's exactly who Ike Clanton was, and he played the part like it was made just for him. Always loud, unpredictable, and quick with threats. Ike could stir tension with just a glance. But when the shooting started, you could bet he'd be the first to dive for cover. Actor Stephen Lang brought Ike to life with haunting accuracy. At 41, Lang gave us a villain we couldn't help but despise. Not just because Ike was mean, but because he was a walking bundle of fear hiding behind false confidence. Lang peeled back Ike's layers to show us a man who was more scared than tough, and that made his performance unforgettable, born on July 11th, 1952. Stephen Lang is now 72, but don't think for a second that age has slowed him down. If anything, he's become even more powerful on screen and stage. Whether he's playing gritty soldiers, cunning villains, or complex heroes, Lang brings a raw energy that demands attention. His craft has matured over time, like a rare vintage Richard Boulder, and still packed with punch in a world full of fleeting fame. Stephen Lang stands tall, a timeless actor whose fire hasn't dimmed, and whose characters, like Ike Clanton, stay etched in our memory long after the credits roll. Who is the gentleman of the frontier whose strength was found in standing firm in his beliefs. Let's take a look at Henry Hooker. Henry Hooker in a wild land where bullets often settled. Arguments. True strength wasn't always found in the fastest gunslinger, but in the man who stood firm in his values. That man was Henry Hooker. When Charlton Heston stepped into Hooker's boots in Tombstone, he wasn't just playing a part, he was lending the role a quiet power that cut through the film's noise. Though his appearance was brief, it was deeply felt like a still mountain amidst a desert storm. Heston's portrayal added weight and wisdom to the chaos. By the time Tombstone was filmed, Heston was 70, a veteran of Hollywood, and an icon in his own right. Born in 1923, he had already etched unforgettable characters into movie history. Moses parting the Red Sea, Ben-Hur racing chariots, and more. But his influence wasn't confined to the silver screen off camera. He was known for his firm stances and leadership, notably as president of the National Rifle Association, where he became a symbol of conviction, admired by many, debated by others. Charlton Heston passed away in 2008 at 84, but he left behind more than memories. His voice, his powerful presence, and the principles he held onto so tightly still echo in American culture and cinema. In the end, it wasn't just his characters who were larger than life, it was Heston himself. The next character is one of the very few ones that seemed odd in the movie. Let's dive into the details of Billy Breckinridge. Billy Breckinridge and the chaotic gunfire. Filled streets of Tombstone, where loud voices clashed and bold stances were taken, there stood a figure who didn't quite fit the usual mold. Billy Breckinridge. Unlike the brash, tough men around him, Billy was calm, gentle, and often unsure of himself. He wasn't here to make a name with violence, but to maintain his integrity in a world that seemed to reward anything but kindness and honesty. At just 24, actor Jason Priestley made a daring move, stepping away from his role as a charming teen idol to play Billy, a deputy torn between following the law and preserving his own humanity. His portrayal offered a quiet yet powerful message. Not all men of the Wild West were gunfighters with nerves of steel. Some, like Billy, were simply trying their best to navigate life with decency and honor in a world filled with chaos. Priestley has evolved into a highly respected actor and director, proving his talent for telling stories that resonate. His work behind the camera delves into narratives that matter, ones that reflect the heart of human experience, rather than the superficiality of fame. Billy's quiet courage in the face of turmoil serves as a reminder that even in the loudest and most violent storms, there are those who quietly stand firm for what's right. Their voices may be soft, but their impact is profound. Sometimes it's the quiet ones, like Billy, who leave the most lasting imprint on the world, showing us that strength isn't always measured by volume or power, but by the quiet determination to do what's right. Who is Bill Clanton? Let's look into the details of one of the youngest characters, Billy Clanton. Billy Clanton was young, wild, and dangerously loyal as one of the youngest members of the outlaw Cowboys gang. His fiery temper and love for chaos made him both thrilling and terrifying to watch. He didn't think twice before diving into a gunfight or backing up his gang. Danger seemed to fuel him. Billy wasn't just reckless, he was unpredictable. The kind of character that kept everyone on edge, friend or foe. When actor Thomas Hayden Church stepped into Billy's boots. At the age of 33, he brought the role to life in a way few could, with a blend of raw anger and surprising vulnerability. Church didn't just play. Billy, he embodied him. he gave the hot-headed gunslinger depth, showing a young man torn between loyalty and self-destruction, thanks to Church. Billy wasn't just another bad guy. He was unforgettable. A haunting mix of youth and fury, born in 1960. Church is now 64, with a career that stretches across decades of television and film. He's known for his deep, gravelly voice and calm, compelling presence on screen, while he's earned critical praise in many roles. His portrayal of Billy, Clanton remains one of his most powerful performances. It was intense, emotional, and left a mark, a reminder that even the wildest characters can feel heartbreakingly human when given the right touch. The next character was the husband of Mattie Earp. Who was he? What was he known for? Let's find out. Wyatt Earp. He was the soul of the tale, the steady pulse behind every twist and turn. Wyatt Earp, the legendary lawman, wasn't just about guns and grit. He lived by a personal code strong, but just fearless yet fair. He carried a heavy past and stood at the crossroads of walking away, or standing firm, justice. Pushed him forward. Memories pulled him back, and it was Kurt Russell who brought this complex character to life, with raw power and quiet emotion. At 42, Russell didn't just play Wyatt Earp, he became him with every look, every word. He showed a man, not only shaped by hardship, but also softened by it. He gave EP a heartbeat, making him feel real, not just a hero, but a man born on March 17th, 1951. Russell is now 73, and still a commanding presence on screen. Whether in explosive action roles or deeply moving dramas, his versatility continues to shine. His portrayal of Wyatt Earp wasn't just another performance. It was a moment that etched itself into film history, and even now, decades later, Kurt Russell rides high in the hearts of movie lovers. Everywhere, the next character is best described as a wolf in sheep's clothing. Let's delve into the details of Johnny Ringo, a killer, with scary, subtle threats. Johnny Ringo. There's something deeply unsettling about a villain who doesn't raise his voice. A silent threat can be far more chilling than a loud one. And Johnny Ringo proved that, with eerie precision, he didn't need to shout or rage to be dangerous. His quiet presence alone sent shivers down your spine. Smart, cold, and always a step ahead. Ringo was like a shadowed reflection of Doc Holliday. Two men shaped by brilliance and darkness, destined to clash. Thereon, screen tension crackled with intensity, making every shared scene unforgettable. Michael Biehn, who once raced through time in The Terminator, took on Ringo's character with haunting grace in Tombstone. At the age of 37, his calm, measured performance gave the role a haunting depth, turning Ringo into a villain who lingers in your memory long after the credits roll. 68. Biehn may have stepped away from blockbuster fame, but he remains a force in indie films, quietly influencing the world of genre cinema. While the spotlight may have shifted, his portrayal of Ringo still glows in the dark corners of cinematic history. An enduring example of how silence can be far more powerful than sound. Another character in the legendary movie that had a wild, wicked, and captivating presence was Curly Bill Brochus. Let's say a few things about him. Curly Bill Brochus, he laughed when others would have run. He spun with glee in the middle of chaos, like a man who found joy in danger. Curly. Bill Brochus wasn't just a bad guy. He was the kind of villain you couldn't take your eyes off, wild, wicked, and strangely captivating. He drew you in like a flame, draws a moth, and it was Power's Booth, with that deep, unforgettable voice, and a reckless smile who brought him to life in Tombstone. At 45, Booth didn't just play Curly Bill, he became him, delivering a performance packed with tension, charm, and surprise. Every time he stepped into a scene, you felt something electric might. Happen Booth passed away in 2017 at the age of 68, but his legacy lives on through roles that blurred the line between hero and villain. Whether in westerns or sharp political dramas, he gave his characters a strange beauty, making evil feel elegant, even likable. He didn't just act, he mesmerized. He made you smile, even as you feared what he might do next. That's the kind of unforgettable fire Powers Booth lit on screen, and it still flickers in memory. Today, Kate was a female character that did not seem to sit back at home fearless in the face of guns. Let's dig into more details, Kate. While many women of her time stayed behind, waiting patiently at home, Kate was never one to sit still. She rode alongside her man, fearless and sharp, never backing down from a world ruled by guns, danger, and tough men. She wasn't just Doc Holliday's partner in romance. She was his match in spirit mind, and was bold, fiercely loyal, and endlessly captivating. Kate stood out as a rare force of nature in the unforgiving wild West. When Joanna Pacula, then 35, stepped into Kate's boots, she brought with her a powerful mix of fire and grace. Born in Poland, Pacula's elegant European charm gave Kate a unique twist, a woman with refinement and backbone in a world of dust and danger. 68. Pacula has taken a graceful exit from the limelight, but the mark she left on cinema, both American and European, remains unforgettable. Her portrayal of Kate wasn't just a background role. It was a statement in her hands. Kate became a living reminder that love in the Wild West didn't always mean softness, submission, or lace. Sometimes it rode in on horseback, strong, fearless, and fully alive. While we get to see many scary characters, let's take a look at a gentle and courageous character, Morgan Earp. Morgan Earp, gentle in spirit, full of hope, and quietly courageous. Morgan Earp might not have been the fiercest gunslinger in the West, nor the loudest presence in the room, but he just might have been the most. Genuine and Tombstone actor Bill Paxton gave Morgan a tender soul, portraying him with a kind of innocent bravery that made audiences instantly care. At 38, Paxton brought a wide-eyed wonder to the role that made Morgan's tragic end hit even harder. He wasn't merely Wyatt Earp's younger brother. He was the emotional heartbeat of the family, the one who reminded us what they were fighting to protect Bill Paxton. Born on May 17th, 1955, passed away too soon in 2017 at the age of 61, a familiar face in unforgettable films like Twister and Titanic. Paxton was more than just a star. He was a storyteller with a deep sincerity that lit up every role. His portrayal of Morgan Earp continues to move viewers to tears, years after the credits roll. That lingering emotion, it's the mark of a truly gifted actor, one who didn't just act, but lived the heart of his characters and shared it with the world. One more character we shall be looking into from the legendary movie is a dangerous, cunning, but ambitious guy who bothered less about the gun. Let's find out who. Sheriff Bannon was. Sheriff Bannon in the wild town of Tombstone. Not every man held a gun, some gripped something far more powerful. Ambition, one such man, was Sheriff John Bannon. He didn't need bullets to be dangerous. He was slick, cunning, and always watching out for himself. Brian wasn't just a lawman. He was a politician, in uniform, always scheming to stay ahead, even if it meant stepping on anyone who got in his way. Actor John Tenney brought this character to life with just the right balance of charm and arrogance. At 32, he managed to make being someone you couldn't quite hate, but you definitely couldn't trust his performance. Pulled viewers in, making them both irritated by Bannon's actions and intrigued by his motives. 63. Tenney has quietly built an impressive path through Hollywood. Whether in courtroom dramas or intense political thrillers, his ability to slip into any role has kept him in the game for decades. While he may not always play the hero, Tenney's presence on screen is always memorable. Smooth, steady, and full of depth. His talent, like Bayan's ambition, proves that sometimes the sharpest weapons are the ones you can't see. It's been more than 3 decades since Tombstone galloped into cinemas and branded itself into our hearts like a blazing iron on rawhide. And even now its legacy rides strong. Let's have a few words for the Tombstone legends. Legends never die. The actors who once wore those dusty boots and tipped those wide-brimmed hats have all taken different trails. Some still shine on screen. Others have quietly stepped out of the limelight, and a few have ridden off into the final sunset. But together they didn't just make a movie. They brought to life a tale so powerful and unforgettable that we keep coming back for more. Tombstone was never just about gunfights or saloons at its core. It was a story of brotherhood, bravery, fear loss, and the kind of sacrifice that echoes through time. These are the same battles we still fight in our hearts today. And here's the twist that keeps the legend alive. Maybe the cast didn't just pretend to be heroes of the Wild West. Maybe for a flicker in time, they were them. So the next time you catch a whisper of wind sweeping through a silent town, or imagine the distant thud of horses, hooves across a dusty plain, don't brush it off. That's more than just the breeze. That's history speaking. And the story it's telling. It's not over yet. What do you think about the legends of Tombstone? Are they still living? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.